Hey, I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. Welcome to our new weekly series on this channel. This is one of those videos you should probably watch to the end because you might assume you know exactly what I am going to say. After all, I am just another black man talking about racial tension and social injustice. But you might be wrong. That being said, it seems that every few months there is a new story or video showing a cop shooting an unarmed black man. And the response has become so predictable, even among Christians. This is typically what happens. The video comes out. There is outrage in the black community. Lots of hashtags. Sometimes protesting. Sometimes it becomes violent. People writing speeches on Facebook. CNN runs the story over and over again. The video goes viral, but nothing really changes. Then soon enough, you hear that it has happened again. When one voice says, "Black lives matter," another voice says, "All lives matter." So let's look at these things strictly from a Christian worldview. The body of Christ has become divided into little race groups. But is that how it should be? Are we not one body? Is it not one Christ? One Spirit? So why are we so divided? Especially with something as ridiculous as race. We feel so protective of our race, so we defend certain things, as if it's an attack on who we are. But is it really your race? Or is it his? Think about it. You never chose to be black or white. He put your spirit in that meat suit. This is just a meat suit. You're only black, white, or whatever because he chose to make you that. You had no say in the matter. Hey Lord, can I be white? No? Oh, okay. What are Christians called to? Two things. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and all your mind. This is the first and the greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets depend on these two commandments. The love of God and the love of people are the only reasons we should preach the gospel, say hi to our neighbors in the morning, and engage in social causes. The entire foundation of Christianity rests on love. Race has become a barrier to fulfilling our purpose. If a white child is kidnapped, you will see some black people say, "Well, when our children get kidnapped, nobody talks about it. But if it's a white child, it'll be on the 6 o'clock news." What does that have to do with this child being kidnapped? How does that help this child? Or should this child be punished because God gave him or her white skin? Is this child's life worth less or more? This also happens when a young black man gets shot by the cops. And a lot of times there's even video proof. You start hearing some white brothers and sisters say, "If you really care about black lives, take a look at Chicago. More black people die from black on black violence. Why don't you all fix that?" What does that have to do with this conversation right now? There is a human being that is dead. He's not coming back. There is no do-over. His journey has ended. Do we have so little regard for human lives that we turn everything into an agenda? Okay, let's say that a cop pulls your child over. He gets out of the car and he starts running. The cop commands him to stop, but he kept running away. Then the cop pulls his gun out and shoots him in the back. Regardless of the race of your child, will you as a parent say, "Well, he should have listened. It was his fault that he got killed"? No, you won't. And if you would, you're a terrible parent. Did your child do something wrong? Of course. But did his action deserve death? No. When the punishment doesn't fit the crime, we call that injustice. You wouldn't want to see a man sentenced to death for stealing a loaf of bread. If you wouldn't like it happening to you, then you shouldn't make excuses for when it happens to your brother. This is the basic definition of love thy neighbor as thyself. We serve a just God, so we should be allergic to injustice. We should stand against injustice anywhere we see it, without looking at the skin color or the badge of the person who was the recipient of said injustice. Jesus Christ gave a wonderful illustration of when racial and political bias meets love. And this can be found in Luke 10:25-37. There was a man who was heading to Jericho from Jerusalem, and on his way he was robbed, beaten, and left for dead. A priest walked by, saw this man, and then walked to the other side of the road. A Levite, another religious man, came by, saw the man, and then walked to the other side of the road. Then, a Samaritan, who by the way was culturally supposed to be an enemy of this man, stopped, picked him up, and took him to an inn, paid to have him cared for, offered to pay more if his medical bills exceeded how much he had already paid. After Jesus Christ gives this profound parable, he asked a simple question. Between the priest, the Levite, and the Samaritan, which of them acted as a neighbor to this man? And Jesus' response was the Samaritan. Race should not divide the body of Christ. It is a system from hell to keep us focused on the wrong enemy. Social injustice that goes against his word should be one of those things that the entire body of Christ should rise against. Violence is not the answer. There is so much hatred masquerading as cry for justice. The body of Christ cannot react the same way the world would. We are the light of the world. Standing for social injustice does not mean you hate cops or think that they are all bad. But we should be able to admit when something is wrong. When Christians are sentenced to death in Islamic nations, the church rises. Why? Because it's unjust. So why can't we rise together when we see something happening to our brothers and sisters here, regardless of their skin pigmentation? The Samaritan didn't care that he was a Samaritan, and the man needing help was a Jew. All he saw was a man who was in need, and he rushed to help him. The church has historically been a refuge for people who need it the most. You are a Christian before you are white, black, Asian, Hispanic, or whatever. Stand for justice, defend truth, and show love. Your identity is no longer tied to your race. When you were saved, your identity was reborn in Jesus. The act of making excuses for unjust behavior because of skin color goes against the very nature of Christ. Hey, thank you for watching. Please click the thumbs up button. Also, leave a comment below. Do you think the church is divided when it comes to social injustice? I would love to hear what you think. Also, if you're new here, subscribe to our channel and you will get updated as we release brand new content every single week.